So we're here in Amity, Oregon at Brooks Wines with Janie Hoyk, the general manager of Brooks Wines. Hi Janie, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing spectacular. I was wondering if you could give us a little history about Brooks Wines and how this winery came to be.
Sure. It was founded in 1998 by my brother, Jimmy Brooks. He at the time was the assistant winemaker at Willackenzie Estate under Laurent Montelou. Learned to make his wine there. They limited his production to 300 cases, so when he knew he wanted to make Brooks his full-time job, he moved over to Momtazi Vineyards and Maysara Winery and became their founding winemaker. He grew Brooks to about 3,000 cases, and then in September of 2004, he unexpectedly passed away. At the age of 38, he had an aortic dissection on a Saturday morning, and it was about 2 weeks before harvest that year. And I live in California, got up to his house in McMinnville, and was sat down by a group of 14 winemakers that all had made plans throughout the course of that day to take his fruit and make his wine for free that harvest if I would help run the business side. So being that he was my brother and that Brooks was my family name, and that I was really his only remaining family member outside of his son, I said sure, and got into the business and really realized he was doing something special. He was just doing things a little bit different in Oregon and kind of pushing the envelope, extremely well respected by his peers and his buyers throughout the country, and thought that we would keep it going. So I've been running it now for 6 years. It's owned outright by his son, Pascal, who is now 15 years old. And our winemaker was my brother's assistant winemaker. That was probably one of the most significant decisions I've made through the course of all of this, was hiring Chris Williams. He was Jimmy's assistant winemaker, also self-taught basically on the job, but he definitely shared the passion and the vision of what Jimmy was doing, why he wanted to do it, and he's really brought that philosophy to Brooks and kept it here the whole entire time. So it's been really special because the wines still really reflect what we believe today Jimmy would have wanted to have done.
Is part of what what the wines reflect the terroir of Amity Hills, the old Amity Hills?
Yes, my brother had been biodynamically farming a vineyard starting in 2002. That's 20 acres, just about a quarter of a mile away. He was a big pioneer in biodynamic farming of grapes up in Oregon, and that vineyard is here, and it's about a quarter of our total production. And as the years have gone by, we source from about 14 other vineyards, but the vast majority of them are right here in the Eola Hills.
And what kind of character do you get from the fruit here?
You know, it tends to be on the more concentrated, darker fruits. The special things about the Eola Amity Hills from an AVA standpoint that differentiates them some is the volcanic basalt soil that we have. It drains really well. It's a little bit shallower than some of the vineyard sites throughout the Willamette Valley. And we also have the Van Duzer corridor. So we get this wonderful, it's basically a break inside the Cascade Range that we get a cool breeze every afternoon, and it really cools the valley down a lot on the side of the Eola Hills.
You mentioned before that 14 winemakers came to contribute their time and their efforts for the first vintage after the passing of your brother. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about that story, because it just sounds like a fascinating story, and it sounds like a story that sort of embodies the collaborative spirit here.
You know, it does, and that was one of the things that struck me in my decision to continue the winery, is when all these people offered to do this for free. I had been in business for 20 years, and I thought, who does that? You know, really, who does that and means it? And what I've come to realize is they're all artists. They all believe what they do is the best, and the way they do it is the best, and that they're producing the best product. There's really very little competition that I've ever noticed. And this was just an amazing group. It was Josh Bergstrom, and it was Harry Peterson-Eddy from Chehalem, and Steve Dorner from Christum. And I look back now knowing who they all are and thought, what a tribute to my brother and an honor.
Did you have any idea? I mean, you knew who they were.
You know, I knew Laurent, and I knew Sam Tannehill and Cheryl Francis, but I did not know anybody else. And they continued, like Josh Bergstrom continued to take fruit from Highland Vineyard, because we both sourced from a certain portion of the vineyard. He took it for years because we were in custom crush and it was costing us a lot of money, and he offered to do that, and I pretty much could call any of them at any point and ask them for anything and they would come through for me.
So just shifting gears a little bit, as a woman coming in to become a general manager of a small winery, were there any challenges that you felt that you might have faced because you're a woman, or was this this seems like a more varied, accepting sort of group of wine industry people here than you might expect to find in Napa or some place that's a little bit more established, a little bit more corporate.
Yeah.
Were there any difficulties for you?
You know, there really weren't, and I think probably some of that was because I was in healthcare for a long time on the business side, which was pretty much a male-dominated business structure too. But you do get all kind of walks of life up here in Oregon. There's not a whole bunch of us that are locals. I mean, that was one of the things that I always loved, is that we're born and raised in Portland. So my brother went to school at Linfield in McMinnville, so it's definitely part of home, but you do have people from all over the world. You have people who have come from Napa. You have people who are professional doctors, lawyers, who have decided to get into the business, and everybody really brings a different attribute. You find some of those people are just brilliant marketing people. And then you, of course, have the people who are brilliant about making their wines, and it's just really a different group of a walk of life, but a definite sense of what we're doing in this community is the best thing to be doing, and we're all very supportive of each other.
Do you have any tips for any young women who might want to enter the wine industry?
Ooh, be strong. I mean, if you really want to enter the winemaking industry, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of physical work, a lot of physical labor. Patience is definitely something that is required in being in the wine industry. It's a lot of long hours, and things don't change very quickly. It takes a lot of stones to move a mountain around here.
I can bet.
But no, there's plenty. There's a nice group of women actually up here in the industry, and you do find them across all facets of the entities, from the business side, the marketing side, to the winemaking side.
Well, thank you for taking time to share with us.
Sure.
And we're going to taste some wine now.
Great.